Brawl Stars has some issues right now, some real auto-aim issues that nobody really wants to talk about. So I'm going to put my dad pants on, and today we're going to get into it. Hey everyone, what's happening? Lex back today for another Brawl Stars video. Today we are going to be talking about auto-aim. What it is, why it was put into the game, what's good about it, what's bad about it, and what the heck can we do to see this game that we all love so much rise back to that really in-depth, wonderful experience that we all know and love. Alright, before we start the video, I want to say a couple things. First off, I love Brawl Stars. I mean, I truly love Brawl Stars. It's one of my favorite games that I've ever played, period. I've got a whole freaking channel dedicated to Brawl Stars. I love it. I am a huge supporter of Brawl Stars. Supercell has been very good to me. I mean, heck, I got a trip to Finland there. I am so beyond appreciative to Brawl Stars and Supercell. I love those guys. They're really good people. They truly are. However, I'm not going to pander my entire channel making everything seem like it's wonderful and good when it's not. Not right now. Now, some people have said, oh, Supercell's paying you to say nice things about Brawl Stars and whatnot. And no, Supercell has never paid me a dime, never once, never. My channel is my own. My opinions, they don't control what's on my channel. And I don't even want this video to be negative per se. I just want it to be real. Just want it to be real, what's going on in Brawl Stars and what can we do to fix it. Secondly, a lot of the ideas behind this video were kind of spurred on by a video that my friend Cairo sent to me. I'm going to link this video. It's by a channel called Extra Credits. If you guys don't know who Extra Credits are, a lot of people don't. He's got a little over 1 million subscribers. It's a really great channel. If you're big into video games and the ideas behind stuff like that, definitely go check this guy out. I hope it's okay, Mr. Extra Credits, if you allow me to use like about a 1-minute clip from your video in this video. I hope it's okay. I'm going to do it. If it's not, you let me know and I'll take it down. But hopefully, please, sir, let me use this because I think that the clip of that video here will absolutely 100% describe auto-aim. Please do yourself a favor. Check the description down below and the comments because I'm going to link both of them there straight to his video. It's great stuff. All right, so first, I think it's important to answer the question, why was auto-aim put in the game? The answer is pretty short. Noobs. Noobs is the reason why auto-aim was put in the game. Okay, now maybe it's not that simplistic, but that's the basic answer. So when a new player comes into Brawl Stars, if they can't grasp the controls or even stand a chance against the competition, they're going to stop playing it. And how long a person plays something, how long a person plays a game after starting it is called retention. Now, retention is a big thing for game developers. Getting someone to download the game, that's only the first step. You have to keep them playing, keep them coming back, telling their friends, and yes, spending money as well. So my guess to why auto-aim was put in the game is because it was done 100% for the new players of Brawl Stars. Now, you can absolutely go on and find on Reddit because it was alluded to, if not straight out said, by Ryan Light, the community manager of Brawl Stars. Most of you that are watching this video, you're not the people that auto-aim was intended for. You're not. You're not a casual gamer just kind of testing the waters to see this new game. If you switched your Apple ID from wherever you live over to Canada, downloaded the game, you're not a casual gamer. You're a hardcore gamer. You're a, if not hardcore, you're a really, avid gamer. Auto-aim was not made for you. It wasn't. It was made for the person who's just randomly picking up the game as a new player and just thought, I'm going to try this out, and it's made for them to make the game easy for them, to make it to where they feel like they have a place in the game. So was auto-aim just like this completely horrible thing that should have never been implemented? They need to wipe it off the face of this earth and forget the scum that was auto-aim? No. There are some good things about auto-aim. There are. One, it gives new players something to do, right? So if you're brand new to the game and you haven't quite figured out the controls yet, or at least you haven't gotten proficient at the controls yet, it gives you something to do. You don't want to just walk around randomly shooting shots into walls looking like Lex, or just, being really horrible. That's not fun. Are you going to stick around for that? Unless you're just really invested into the game and really are determined to get better, you're not going to stick around if you can't do any damage to other players. If you're just wandering around losing all your matches, it's not going to be fun. You're not going to keep playing. Period. Remember that retention thing we were talking about? It's gone. So they need to give something for a new player to walk in and be able to feel like they're making a difference in their game. And that's what auto aim is for. They hit this button, and it may not be the best thing ever. Kind of is, we'll get there. But it gives them something to do. So they can press this button and they can hit some shots occasionally. And they're like, yeah, okay, I'm making a difference. You know, this is good. And also not just for the absolutely new players, but the player who is still learning. So it gives them something to do while they're still honing those skills and trying to get better at the game. So auto aim is not a completely horrible thing. It's not like the spawn of Satan and it should have never been invented. It's not a bad thing. It truly isn't. Now, there are some bad things about it. For starters, right now, it's just simply too strong. I mean, it's better to use than aiming the vast majority of the time. Disagree with me. Come at me if you disagree with that, because there's only a few brawlers where it is absolutely almost always a good idea to use manual aiming. One, the throwers, you have to aim. I mean, you don't have to, but if you try to just use auto aim with the throws, you're going to miss like 80% of your shots, and that's no good. Ricochet is one of those brawlers as well where you're going to want to use your manual aiming 90% of the time, and that's because you get the best use of Ricochet by bouncing his shots off the wall. There are some brawlers where it is definitely beneficial to use standard aiming and not auto aim. However, and here's a big however, it is a vastly more effective strategy to use auto aim than it is not to use auto aim. And that is where the problem comes into be. So what? If you just use one other button instead of your normal aiming, aren't you just shooting anyways? Is it just, you know, one way of shooting versus another, right? What's the problem? There is a problem, and it's called the depth of the game. If there is no depth to the game, quick players are going to quickly like, okay, well, I've done this. I can move and hit this one button. It's just kind of a repetition thing. You're not even playing a game anymore. You're just going through the motions, and that's not fun. Or at least it's not to me, and I don't think it is to most people, is that you want to learn, you want to improve, you want to get better, and really there is no getting better other than positioning and spamming that one button. That's it, and that is not fun, and that has no depth to the game. And that is sad to me, because Brawl Stars was a very in-depth, a very low-key in-depth game. It didn't look like it on the surface, but it got really in-depth. The skill gap between a new player and a really good player was pretty massive. And, I mean, that could have been, that's a problem in itself in ways, but that's really more a matchmaking problem, and I think that's going to be solved once global comes, if it comes. So ideally, what happens is a new player gets into the game, they're using auto aim, and it's working for them, but at some point, very early on, they realize that, hey, auto aim is not the best option that I have. It's clearly superior to aim, and I need to start learning how to do that. However, that's not happening because auto aim is not an inferior option. I mean, if you ever find yourself in a close range fight, auto aim is the superior option. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If you find yourself toe-to-toe with somebody, the best thing to do is spam that little red button on the lower right-hand corner of your screen. That's how you win. Is that fun? Does that have much depth? Or is it just who can hit that button the fastest? All right, so now that we know why it was put in, what's good about it, what's bad about it, and a little bit more on the, the problems with it, how do we fix it? What do we do to get auto aim to where it's a valid option in the game, but it's not the option in the game? Well, the first option is a simple one, but it's not simple. The solution would be to remove it. Let's just get rid of auto aim, right? That's one way to fix the auto aim problem. It brings up some other problems, but that would be one solution, is remove it. But that's probably not going to happen. If you're really hoping that auto aim is going to just get completely removed from Brawl Stars, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, because it's probably not going to happen. The way that Supercell has been approaching it, they put it in, and it kind of sucked unless you were a shotgun brawler. Everybody starts playing shotgun brawlers. Don't blame you. So then they made it just better for long-range brawlers. Okay, well, shotgun brawlers are really OP with this. Let's make it to where long-range brawlers can use it as well. They did that, and everybody's like, oh, crap. Now I can just spam buttons with Piper and Colt and win and just destroy everybody. And guess what? Everybody started playing Piper. Again, I don't blame you. So they nerfed it a little bit. Guess what? Still not enough. Everybody is still spamming that button because, again, going back to earlier, It is a superior attacking option. It just is. I've seen people make comments on my videos, ha ha ha, Lex is using the auto aim button. Yeah, of course I am. Why wouldn't I? The only reason why somebody wouldn't use it is because they think that it's going to get removed or it's going to get nerfed so bad that its usefulness is going to be crap. So they're practicing now using manually aiming. That's a good idea. I am with that, and I should do that. But to be completely honest with you guys, I haven't been playing Brawl Stars very much because the game lacks depth, and it's just not as fun to me right now as it was before. Do I hope that the game turns around? I think the game will. I have faith in the Brawl Stars development team. These guys are smart. They're not stupid. This isn't the first game they've ever developed. They know what they're doing. They're trying to navigate their way around a precarious position of, we've got to keep retention up so that new players come in and stay up, but we also have to make the game deep. And that's a little bit of a balancing issue. It's a fine line to walk, and I don't envy being in their position because that would be hard to walk that line, because if they don't get retention up, guess what? Brawl Stars gets killed. That's what happens. So what's the second possible solution? Nerf it. Now, they said they were working on a nerf. We haven't heard anything about said nerf. You know, they said on Reddit they were going to nerf it, but that was, I don't know what it was, a week or two ago or something, and we haven't heard a word about it yet, what they're doing. Not that they have to tell us what they're doing, because they don't. I know a lot of people get mad because Brawl Stars is not communicating us. They're not telling us anything that they're doing. And while I grant you, yes, it is probably a smart, wise thing to have good communication between Supercell and the Brawl Stars team and the people that are playing their game. It makes the people feel part of what's going on and not just stand in the dark wondering what the crap is happening. All they would really have to do is say, hey, we're still looking at this auto aim nerf. We're working on possible solutions. We've tried a couple different things. We're not quite happy with what we got yet, but don't worry. We are working on it. We haven't forgotten about you. We're still working on it. They're working on a nerf, but we haven't seen anything yet. And I'm not talking about like a small, like a little 10% nerf, because that's not enough. All right, so this is the perfect time for me to show you a small clip from that extra credits video that I was talking about, because what he describes right here is perfect. So when we're talking about a nerfed auto aim, this relates perfectly to that.
Often, tactics or moves with a high skill to power ratio can become first-order optimal strategies, or as I prefer to call them, foo strategies. These are ways to play a game that aren't actually optimal, but are so much more powerful than the other things you could do at that point in your progression, either in the game or as a player, that you simply use that tactic over and over again. Imagine just playing Street Fighter on easy and 100-hand slapping your way through everything. It may not be the most powerful technique by a long shot, but it's all you're ever going to need. Well, while these foo strategies seem really handy to the player, they become very problematic if you don't think about them as a designer. You see, very often when designers don't balance for skill, you'll find that players tend to latch onto a foo strategy and execute it over and over until the strategy no longer works for them. And this can be perfectly okay. Great even. The player feels powerful. They feel like they've understood something fundamental about the game, and they're excited about the game in general. But the point where that strategy no longer works for them has to come early enough in the experience. All too often, because they haven't thought this through thoroughly, the designer will put in a batch of other techniques and strategies that are slightly more powerful, but require a lot more skill to perform. And they'll simply expect the player to keep climbing up this power ladder because clearly Ability B is indisputably stronger than Ability A. They'll expect the player to abandon their foo strategy as soon as a more powerful option comes along. But this is, of course, a fallacy. If Ability B is 10% stronger than Ability A, but 3 times harder to execute, then Ability B is only better if you're a machine. This leads to players blithely continuing to do the easier tactic for as long as it's effective, which leads to one of 2 unfortunate results. A, the player eventually quits because the game becomes routine and they never experience any of the depth the game truly had to offer. Or B, the player eventually gives up because by the time their foo strategy is no longer effective, there's a great deal of skill that the designer expected them to pick up that they never did. Because they haven't been progressing the way the designer intended, they eventually run into a brick wall of a difficulty spike and end up dropping the game or resenting it for its perceived jump in difficulty.
I love how he put all that. It makes perfect sense. It makes it very easy. Auto-aim is definitely a foo strategy right now. It really is. So we've talked about why auto-aim was put in the game, why it's good, why it's bad, some of the reasons for that, some possible solutions. So where do we go with all of this right now? Well, the bottom line is that Brawl Stars must do something with auto-aim. Again, they said they've worked on a solution. We haven't seen it yet. But currently in the game right now, auto-aim is a massive problem for the long-term retention of players. I'm not talking short-term retention. That may or may not have been helped by the auto-aim. I don't know. I'm not privy to those numbers, so I don't know if this has helped or not. They kind of alluded that it was looking better on Reddit, but I don't really know. In my heart, what I feel like is that it may help in the early stages of the game. However, it hurts the long-term depth and the long-term retention of players. So if they don't do something about auto-aim, and I trust that they will, but if they don't, you and me, those players are never going to get to the stage that you and I are, where we're dedicated long-term players of Brawl Stars. And why? Because the game has no depth to the gameplay. The game is beautiful. Great graphics, great layout. I love so much of what it's done. Auto-aim is a problem, though. So that's my spiel on auto-aim, guys. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Again, let me reiterate, I love Brawl Stars. I love the Supercell team. You know, they're good people. Ryan, all the guys that are on the Brawl Stars team, I've met them, I've talked to them, I've had lunch with them. They're good people. They really care about Brawl Stars, and I love them for that. I really do appreciate them. I just hope that this solution is coming and that auto-aim, there's got to be a solution for it. And again, they know way more about this stuff than the 90% of us will ever, 99% of us will ever know about developing a game. So I hope that they get that sorted out soon so that we can all get back to loving this beautiful, rich, deep game, deceptively so, that is Brawl Stars. But that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, until next time, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Lex out.